In the year 3047, humans had begun exploring the far ends of space. New colonies were built on distant planets, and one of those planets was called Varelia. It was a quiet world, full of strange forests, glowing plants, and skies that changed color every hour. People said it was beautiful, but also dangerous. Many areas were unexplored, and one place was feared more than all: the Northern Forest. Leo was a young human explorer, part of a science team living on Varelia. He was smart, curious, and a little bit stubborn. He had always heard stories about the Northern Forest. "Don't go there," his captain warned. "No one who enters ever returns." But that only made Leo more curious. One night, while the others were asleep, Leo saw something strange from his window. Soft blue lights were moving through the forest like fireflies dancing in the dark. He felt pulled by something. He couldn't explain. He grabbed his jacket, a flashlight, and quietly left the base. As he entered the forest, the air felt different, heavy, almost magical. The trees were tall and twisted, glowing softly from the inside. Strange whispers filled the air. Though there was no wind, Leo walked deeper, following the lights. Then he saw her. She stood near a glowing tree, her skin pale blue, her hair like silver clouds. Her eyes sparkled like stars, and she wore a dress made of light. She didn't speak, but she looked at him as if she already knew him. Leo froze, not from fear, but wonder. He slowly stepped closer. "Hello," he whispered, not expecting a reply. She didn't answer, but she raised her hand and touched his face gently. Her skin was warm, soft, not cold like he had imagined. He felt calm, safe, connected, without thinking. Leo leaned in and kissed her. It was soft and strange, like kissing light. In that one moment, the forest went completely silent. Even the glowing trees dimmed for a second, as if the world was holding its breath. Then she smiled, her eyes shining with something Leo couldn't understand. She turned, walked into the mist, and disappeared. Leo stood there, confused and amazed. Was it real? Was she real? He returned to the base just before sunrise. His mind kept replaying the moment again and again. He didn't tell anyone. They'd never believe him anyway. He thought maybe it was just a dream, a strange effect of the forest. But the next morning, something happened that changed everything. Leo opened the door to the base, expecting to see the same empty land outside. But someone was standing there. It was her, the alien girl from the forest. But this time, she wasn't alone. In her arms, she held a baby. Leo's eyes widened. The baby had pale blue skin like her, but the eyes were brown, just like his. The girl looked at Leo, then gently placed the baby in his arms. Leo's hands shook. He didn't understand what was happening. "Wait," he said. What is this?" She looked at him calmly and said nothing, but her eyes said everything. Leo looked down at the baby again. It smiled, and for a second, its body glowed with soft light. His heart pounded. "No," he whispered. "This can't be." The girl touched Leo's hand once more, then stepped back. She looked at him one last time, then vanished again into the mist. Leo was left standing at the door of the base, holding the baby. The others inside came running, shocked and speechless. One of them called for the base AI. "Scan the child," they said. The AI scanned the baby quickly, then spoke. "Alert! The infant shares human DNA." Everyone looked at Leo, confused and afraid. He couldn't speak, couldn't move. He just stared at the child in his arms. A child that was part human, part alien, and possibly something more. Asterisk. The base had never been this silent before. Even the machine seemed unsure of what to do. Leo stood frozen in the center, holding the strange glowing baby. Around him, scientists stared with wide eyes, whispering to each other. No one dared to speak out loud, like a secret had walked in on its own. The child's skin shimmered faintly, a pale blue glow flowing through its body. Its eyes blinked slowly, calm and curious. Leo looked down and whispered, "Are you really mine?" He already knew the answer, but still didn't want to believe it. The girl who brought the baby, the same alien he kissed in the forest, had disappeared again. No trace, no footprint, no sound, just like before, only this time she left. Behind a mystery that no science could explain, Dr. Mira, the lead scientist, finally stepped forward. "We scanned the baby," she said carefully. "And the result is impossible." Leo didn't respond. He just listened, his eyes on the baby. "The child carries your DNA, Leo," she continued. 50% human, 50. Something else, the others started asking questions. How? Did this happen from a kiss? Is it a clone? Is this some alien trick? But Leo didn't answer. He was too busy watching the baby smile at him, as if it already knew him. They named her Nova. It felt right. She was something new, something beyond. Leo refused to let anyone take her away. "She stays with me," he said firmly. The command team didn't argue. At least not yet. Over the next few hours, strange things began to happen. Lights flickered whenever Nova cried. Doors opened before anyone touched them. Screens flashed with symbols no one had ever seen before. The baby was affecting the base. Not like a normal child, but like a power source. At night, Leo tried to rest, but sleep wouldn't come. Nova lay in a small pod beside his bed, staring up at the ceiling, glowing softly. Every now and then, her body would float just a few inches above the bed, and then settle back down gently, like a falling leaf. Leo sat beside her, whispering, "What are you?" The door behind him opened suddenly. Alira, the alien girl, had returned. She walked in like the room belonged to her. Silent and graceful, she pointed to Nova, then touched her own heart, then touched Leo's. He understood what she meant. Even without words, Nova was the bridge, not just between two beings, but two worlds. Alira walked around the room, her fingers touching the walls and screens. Wherever she touched, new symbols appeared, as if the base was listening to her. Then, she stopped in front of a blank screen and placed her palm on it. The screen lit up, showing a star map Leo had never seen. Planets, routes, strange glowing paths, and one word in the center: chosen. Alira looked at Leo again, her eyes calm but serious. She pointed at Nova then. To the star map, Leo stepped closer, slowly understanding. Nova wasn't just a baby, she was born with purpose. Suddenly, alarms rang through the base. A voice echoed from the speakers. "Incoming message from Earth Command." Everyone gathered in the control room, and the message played. "This is an emergency directive," the voice said, cold and official. "Return the child immediately, or be marked as rogue and terminated." Gasps filled the room. Leo clenched his fists. "They don't even know what she is," he said softly. Dr. Mira looked at him, concerned. "And what is she, Leo?" Leo looked down at Nova, who now floated in the air between them, eyes glowing. "I don't know," he whispered, "but I know she's not a threat." Outside the window, dark clouds began to form, even though Varelia never had storms. Alira stepped back, holding Leo's arm tightly. Nova's glow grew brighter and brighter. The lights went out completely. Everything turned black. And then, for the first time, Nova spoke. One single word, clear and soft, but filled with power. "Danger." The storm outside wasn't just weather. It felt alive. Winds howled around the base. But nothing moved. No rain, no thunder, just sound and shadows. Inside the base, power was gone. Total blackout. Only one thing still glowed in the dark. Nova. She floated in the air like a small sun, her blue light soft but steady. Her tiny hands moved gently, and with each motion, something changed. Dead machines hummed back to life. Monitors flickered with unknown symbols. Even the locked emergency doors slid open with a quiet hiss. Leo stood frozen, watching his daughter. She was calm, like she had done this before. Alira stood beside him, her eyes filled with pride and worry. No one in the room dared to speak. No one moved. Nova finally floated down and landed softly in Leo's arms. As soon as he held her, the lights came back on. The storm outside stopped instantly, like the world obeyed her. Dr. Mira broke the silence. "That baby," she said slowly. "She didn't just affect the machines." Leo looked at her, confused. "She controls them," Mira continued. "She is a power source." Nova looked up at Leo and blinked. Her eyes turned briefly silver, then back to brown. Later that day, the science team tried to run more scans. Leo agreed, but only if he could. "Stay close." The machines scanned her again, and what they found made them panic. Nova's brain activity was faster than anything ever recorded. Her cells healed in real time. She could learn any language in seconds. Her DNA was rewriting itself. "Every hour, she's evolving," Mira whispered. "Into what?" Another asked. No one had an answer, but everyone could feel it. Something powerful had been born. That night, things got worse. One scientist named Anders tried to take Nova from Leo while he slept. He claimed it was for security reasons. He never got the chance, the moment he touched her crib. He was thrown across the room. An invisible force smashed him against the wall. He wasn't dead, but he would never walk the same again. Nova didn't even open her eyes. Leo woke up and found Alira standing over the fallen man. She didn't speak, just shook her head slowly. "This isn't just a baby," Leo whispered. "She's protected." The next morning, alarms rang again. A message from Earth Command repeated loudly. "Final warning, return the child or face military action." Leo had made up his mind. He wouldn't let Nova fall into the wrong hands. She wasn't a threat. She was a miracle, and maybe, just maybe, a message from the universe. He met with Alira in the control room. "What do I do?" he asked her. She placed her hand on a nearby screen and pulled up a map, not of Earth, but of stars. She pointed at a small glowing dot far away, then at Nova, then at Leo. "I'm supposed to take her there?" He guessed. Alira nodded. Dr. Mira walked in, worried and tired. "You can't just run," she said. "They'll hunt you." Leo looked down at Nova, who was now watching the map with glowing eyes. "I have to protect her," he said. "She's not ready for Earth." Outside, a ship was waiting, a small craft with just enough fuel to get beyond Earth's radar. Leo carried Nova inside. Alira joined him, silent as always as the ship lifted off. The base lights flickered one last time. Dr. Mira watched from the window. She didn't stop them. In space, Leo looked out at the stars ahead. Nova floated gently beside him, smiling. Then she raised her hand, and with a flash of blue light, the ship jumped. Not through regular space, but into something else. A shortcut, a ripple, a fold in the galaxy. Nova had opened a path. Leo stared in disbelief. His baby had just bent space. "What are you really?" he whispered. Nova blinked, and for the first time she answered in perfect English. "I'm what comes next." Space isn't silent. Not when you're being hunted. Leo sat inside the small ship, heart pounding. Stars moved outside like streaks of white fire. Nova slept quietly in his arms, glowing softly. Alira sat across from him, watching the control screen without blinking. Behind them, Earth Command had already launched drones. They weren't going to ask again. They were going to take, forcefully. "This ship isn't built for battle," Leo whispered, "but she is." Alira replied, her voice soft, her eyes on Nova. Nova stirred, sensing something. Her little fingers curled, and a faint pulse of light filled the ship. Ahead, warning lights flashed red. A drone swarm had found them. Earth's drones were fast, black, and silent. Unmanned, cold, and without mercy. They didn't care about Nova's purpose. They only followed orders. "Prepare to surrender," a mechanical voice echoed through the ship. Alira didn't move. Nova opened her eyes, calm, not scared. Leo's hand hovered over the manual controls. He was no soldier, but he was a father now. The first drone fired. A thin beam of light hit the rear shield, causing the ship to shake. Leo gritted his teeth. "We're not going back," he growled. Nova floated from his arms and placed her hand on the dashboard. The controls began to move on their own. New paths appeared on the star map, ones not made by humans. A glowing tunnel of blue light opened in space. Spinning gently, Nova pointed. Leo didn't ask questions. He pushed the ship forward. They entered the tunnel, and the stars vanished. Everything went quiet. Time felt slower, like they were floating between thoughts. Leo looked around, amazed. Where are we? Alira answered with a word Leo didn't know, but Nova translated instantly. Between, she said. Suddenly, a drone followed them into the tunnel. It shouldn't have been possible, but it was. The machine turned, aimed at Nova, and fired. Alira leapt forward, covering Nova, but the shot never hit. It froze in midair. Hanging like a crystal in water, Nova's eyes turned pure white. She waved her hand once, and the drone twisted, melted, then vanished into dust. Silence returned. Leo stared at her. She's not just powerful, he whispered. She's learning. Nova floated back into his arms, her skin now glowing with a golden hue. Alira reached out and touched Leo's shoulder. She needs to reach the temple, she said, before the others find her. Leo frowned. Others? Alira didn't reply. When they exited the tunnel, a new world was in sight, not on any human map. It was cold, quiet, and broken. But underneath its surface, secrets waited. The ship landed on the dark side of the planet. The surface looked like ancient stone. Nova floated above the ground and pointed toward a deep crack in the rock. Alira nodded. Leo followed without hesitation. Inside the crack was a hidden door, old, massive, and covered in glowing symbols. As Nova approached, the symbols began to light up one by one. The door opened, revealing stairs that led downward into silence. Leo looked up at the stars one last time. He knew Earth Command wasn't done chasing them, but what scared him more was what might be waiting below. Nova turned to him. It's where I was meant to go, she said, where we were meant to go. And then she floated down the steps, her light guiding the path into the darkness, and behind her followed the only two people in the universe who believed in her. Asterisk. There are places in the universe that remember, even when every living thing forgets. The staircase went deeper than anyone expected. Colder too. Each step felt like walking through time itself. Leo held Nova close as her glow lit the way. Alira walked ahead, her face still and focused. She had been here before, but not like this, not with her. The walls were covered in symbols, not written, but alive. They shifted slowly, pulsing with soft colors as Nova passed. Leo couldn't read them, but he could feel what they meant. Stories, warnings, memories, they spoke to the blood, not the brain. At the end of the stairs stood a massive round chamber. In the center was a floating crystal, taller than a man. It spun silently, glowing with the same light as Nova. She floated from Leo's arms and drifted toward it. The room began to hum. Alira stepped forward and spoke for the first time in a long while. This is where it all began. Leo looked around, confused. What do you mean? Alira touched the wall gently, and a burst of light spread through the room. Images appeared in the air, like floating memories, strange alien beings, tall and shining, a planet burning, a child glowing, and a human face, Leo's face. Stepped back, shaken. That's not possible, he whispered. Alira looked at him gently. You were chosen long before you were born, she said. Your blood carries something rare, something ancient. Nova touched the crystal. It cracked slightly, releasing a wave of light through the chamber. The walls lit up brighter, showing a map of stars. Millions of stars. One of them pulsed in red. Alira pointed. That's where the war began, she said. A war that never ended. Leo tried to understand. What war? Alira turned to him, her voice now heavy. Not a war for land, not for power, she said. A war for survival. She looked at Nova. She is the first of her kind. Part human, part Elyari. Leo repeated the word slowly. Elyari? Alira nodded. My people. she said. "We were dying. Our bodies too weak, our minds too slow to evolve. But the stars gave us one last hope, one final chance. You," she said, looking at Leo, "your DNA is the spark, Nova's." Light suddenly exploded. Filling the room, symbols danced around her, and the air itself seemed to sing. The floating crystals shattered into particles. They didn't fall. They merged with Nova. Leo rushed toward her, afraid. But she turned and smiled. "I understand." "Now," she whispered. Her voice echoed like music through the chamber. She raised her hand, and a new image appeared. Not a memory, a prophecy. A being of light and shadow. Planets falling, stars dying, and Nova standing alone between them. All. "She will either heal the galaxy," Alira said softly, "or break it." Leo felt a chill deep in his chest. "I don't want her to carry that," he said. "She's just a child." Alira shook her head. "She was never just a child," Nova floated back into his arms. "I'm still me," she whispered. "I'm still your daughter." The crystal chamber faded, and a new doorway opened in the wall. Beyond it, a glowing bridge stretched over a black void. At the end of that bridge, something was waiting. Leo looked at Alira. "What's beyond that door?" Alira took a deep breath. "The ones who fear her," she said, "and the ones who want to use her." Leo looked down at Nova. She was still glowing, but her expression had changed, more serious, more aware. She looked up at her father. "It's time to choose," she said, and without waiting, she stepped onto the bridge. Alira followed. Leo stood still for one more second. Then he stepped after them, into whatever waited beyond. Some wars begin with armies. This one began with a child. The bridge stretched into darkness. No ground below, no stars above, just endless black. Nova walked calmly, her light the only thing keeping the void away. Leo followed, his every step shaking. Behind him, Alira walked in silence, her eyes on the shadows moving in the distance. "They know she's here," Alira said softly. "Who?" Leo asked. Alira stopped, looked at him. "Everyone," she whispered. A blast shook the bridge. Flames roared from the shadows, from above. Earth command ships burst through the dark sky, their lights red, their weapons armed. A voice echoed from the lead ship, "Turn over the hybrid immediately." Before Leo could speak, a second voice answered. Not human, not machine. It echoed from the void itself. "She belongs to no one." From the far end of the bridge, creatures began to appear, tall, cloaked in shadow and bone, their eyes burning white. Alira took a step back. "They're Alyari hunters," she said. "They destroyed my people." Nova floated between the two forces, Earth Command on one side, the ancient hunters on the other, both ready to take her, both ready to kill for her. Leo stepped in front of her, arms wide. "She's just a child," he shouted, but no one listened. The first shot came from the Earth ship. A blast of blue energy flew toward them. Before it could hit, Nova raised her hand. The blast froze in midair, turned to dust, and vanished. The hunters attacked next. They moved like smoke, their claws reaching for Nova. Alira fought with a blade of light, moving faster than Leo had ever seen. But there were too many. Nova floated higher, her body glowing white and gold. Symbols danced in the air around her. Her voice echoed across the sky. "Enough!" The entire bridge shook. Both Earth Command and the hunters froze in place. Nova raised both hands. Time slowed. Weapons stopped firing. Ships stopped moving. Leo looked around in awe. What did she do? Alira whispered. "She stopped time." Nova turned slowly, her eyes glowing pure white. She looked at each group, then back at Leo. "I can end this," she said. "But if I do, I will never be the same again." Leo stepped forward. "You don't have to choose alone," he said. "You have us." Nova reached for his hand as they touched. Her light spread into him. He gasped, feeling her memories, her fears, her strength. And then she let go. Time snapped back into motion. But everything had changed. The hunters fell to their knees, covering their eyes. Their shadows faded, one by one. They vanished into dust. The Earth ships turned and began to retreat. But the voice of the commander came through one last time. "This isn't over," he warned. "You've made yourself an enemy of Earth." The ships vanished into hyperspace. The sky went quiet. Nova floated back to the bridge and landed softly beside Leo. Her light was dimmer now. She looked tired, like she had burned a piece of herself. Alira walked up and placed a hand on Nova's shoulder. "You chose peace," she said. "You did what no one else could." Leo looked at Nova with pride, but also fear. She had just defeated 2 armies without lifting a weapon. And yet, the war wasn't over. It had just changed. Far across the stars, others were watching. And not all of them wanted peace. Nova looked up at the sky. "They're coming," she whispered. "Something older, something worse." Leo took her hand. "Then we'll be ready," he said, and together, they stepped off the bridge, into a future no one could predict. The stars were quiet, too quiet after the war. After the bridge, after the silence, Leo woke up on a planet he didn't recognize. Soft wind moved through glowing grass. The sky above was a deep violet, filled with unfamiliar constellations. He was alone. No Nova, no Alira, only his heartbeat and a question burning inside his chest. Did we survive? His body ached, his mind felt foggy. The last thing he remembered was Nova's voice. And then, light, endless light. He stood slowly, looking around. In the distance he saw a mountain shaped like a spiral, and in front of it, something moved, a small figure, walking toward him, step by step, glowing faintly. Nova. But she wasn't a baby anymore. She looked older, maybe 10, maybe 12, but her eyes were ancient. "Dad," she said softly. Leo ran to her and dropped to his knees. He hugged her tightly, holding on like she might vanish again. "I thought I lost you," he whispered. Nova smiled. "You didn't," she said. "You never will." He pulled back, studying her face. "You've changed," he said. "I had to," she replied. "They needed me." "Who?" he asked. Behind her, portals began to open in the air. One by one, strange beings stepped out. Some looked like Alira, others looked like starlight, stone, or even flame. They bowed their heads when Nova turned toward them. "They're survivors," Nova explained. "Refugees from lost worlds. I called them." Leo stood slowly. "You called them?" Nova nodded. "They were waiting for someone to unite them. They were broken, like we were." Alira appeared behind the group, dressed in white, her eyes glowing silver. "She's more than a bridge now," Alira said. "She's a beginning." Leo looked at the group. Beings from across galaxies, now standing together like one people. No flags, no borders, just hope. Nova raised her hand, and a new star map appeared in the air. But this time, there were no warnings. No red signals, no war zones. Only new paths, new planets, new chances. Leo watched silently. He was no longer just a father. He was part of something greater, a story that had just begun. Nova turned to him. "I can build a new galaxy," she said. "One where no one has to be afraid of being different." Leo smiled, tears in his eyes. "You're amazing," he whispered. Nova laughed. "I'm yours," she said. "You kissed a star, remember?" The sky above them lit up as the new world came alive. Flowers bloomed instantly. The ground warmed beneath their feet. A soft song filled the air, sung by no voice, but heard by every heart. Alira looked up at the rising light. "It's time," she said. Leo looked around. "Time for what?" Nova reached out her hand. "To begin," she said. "To create." Leo took her hand, and together, with the child who was born from light and choice, they stepped into the dawn of a new galaxy, not to escape the past, but to rewrite the future.